Welcome councillors, staff and gallery. We meet here with respect to our tribal people who lived and did all sorts of wonderful things in our country, that we pay tribute to those who came before us with the First Nation, and the growing understanding and the connection and the knowledge of their heritage, culture, with respect and unity. We acknowledge the Nadjeri, Paramount, Ghana, the traditional custodians of the lands within the Barossa. I also acknowledge the European settlers whose customs and traditions have been passed down through 6 generations. Councillors, I have 2 apologies that we will note: Councillor John Angus and Councillor Tony Hearn. We'll move to item 2.1.1, and that is the minutes of the previous meeting for confirmation. That's the council meetings held on Tuesday the 19th of March 2024 at 5:30, and a special council meeting held on Wednesday the 3rd of April 2024 at 5 p.m. Would someone like to move those? Councillor De Vries, and seconded Councillor Priest. All those in favour? Carry. There's no matters arising from those minutes. I'll move on to 3.2, which is deputation and visitors to the meeting. We have and welcome Mr. James Rowe. Mr. Rowe is here to talk about the heavy mass limit vehicles on Kalimna Road, Light Pass, Penrice Road, and between Stockwell Road and Sealanders Quarry entrance. There is a report coming up a little bit later in the agenda. So, Mr. Rowe, if you would like to come and make your presentation, welcome.
Thank you. Tonight. My name is James Rowe, and I work for a company called Groundwork Plus, and we support a lot of quarry operators throughout Australia, about 1,500 quarry operators. I'm here tonight on behalf of Sealander Quarries, who operate along Kalimna Road, just to the north of Penrice Quarry. Tonight I wish to talk about the heavy mass limits along Kalimna Road and just what current impacts that's having, not having that HML approved at this stage. So the Sealander Quarry is operated by the Femia family. They're affiliated with Premix Concrete, and they've been supporting the Barossa for about 35 years. So they're a major customer of Penrice Quarry as well. So they own and operate Sealanders whilst also taking a significant amount of material out of Penrice. I note tonight that in the debate report, page 82, the agenda is I believe accurate and correct, and in support of increasing the HML to the 45.5 tonne from the current 42.5 tonne limit. General mass limits are able to traffic on all roads throughout the state, so no matter where they are, they can traffic on unsealed road networks throughout South Australia. So the increase to heavy mass limits is only an increase of 3 tonnes. So that 3 tonnes is spread over a total of 6 to 7 axles. So it's a negligible update by way of mass and potential impact on an unsealed road network. I've had a look at 3 main points for discussion tonight, one being safety. If the HML is not approved, it just means there's going to be an influx of trafficking on that Kalimna Road network. It also means that there's going to be an increase in volume of trucks trafficking back on to the intersection on the Stockwell Road, which, as we know, is a B-double gazetted road, and it is quite a busy thoroughfare. Also note that there's been no safety incidents along Kalimna Road over the past 5 years. From a road degradation perspective, we've had a look, and 3 tonne increase over 6 to 7 axles of a truck really is quite negligible, and we hope that council can see past that. And also the Sealander Quarries business have openly invited council to a discussion on what it looks like to look after and maintain that unsealed road network by way of reduced values and dollars per tonne. The last part of it that I'd just like to mention is just commercially. Currently, since the HML was expired in December, I believe there's been about 20 contractors and subcontractors view their thoughts to council. A lot of our trucks now, contractors and subbies, they go straight to the 45.5 tonne threshold. So there's up to 20 operators that haven't been accessing that road as much as they probably could, which has in turn created a loss of revenue to the quarry. So I hope those couple of facts support Sealand Quarry. Obviously the report, page 82, supports opening the road network back up to the heavy mass limit of 45.5 tonne. And yeah, hopefully you take that on board and take it into your consideration later in the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Any questions that anyone may have? How many tonnes would you annually pull from?
Sealand is close to 100,000 tonne.
Okay. Yep.
Barossa 300,000 to 400,000.
Yeah, quite a significant amount more. All right, well, thanks for that presentation. That item's coming up a little bit later in the meeting, and if you're welcome to stay. I don't anticipate we're going to be here very long tonight, so. Yeah, now I've blown it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is 4.1. On page 4 is the Mayor's report. Is there any questions that any elected members may have? Moved Councillor De Vries and seconded Councillor Evans. All those in favour? Carried. Move to item 6.1, which is matters for information. Is there anything that members wish to have withdrawn for any action? Thank you. We'll move on to the debate agenda, which is 7.1.1 is the draft elected members' behaviour management policy and process, with a recommendation there that we endorse the draft elected members' behaviour management policy as referred to in attachment 1, and it goes out for public consultation as described in attachment 2. Any questions? Councillor Greatwich.
I have a question firstly, which might just be editing. On page 47, 2.3.4, I think needs to be offset or reset back as a heading rather than a continuation of that numbering. I just wanted to raise that. And I also just wanted to question whether, yes, thank you, yeah. Also on page 48, 2.5.4, also read like perhaps there had once been a conjunction in that sentence. It sort of reads as if a sentence has dropped halfway through perhaps. So expected of the following behavioural standards, perhaps in the heading, or behavioural expectations of elected members, and then it says at an early stage approaching authorised staff on operational matters, issues, ideas, concerns, full stop. Customer requests with a solution focus and not seeking blame. Yeah. Thank you. And then my other question was around whether it would be appropriate or possible to add in somewhere either into the policy itself or in the process that governs that policy, is that under 2.5.8, we essentially put a positive duty. So this is the provision that deals with respecting policy and process through good conduct, dignity, honour, and not walking past behaviours that are not aligned to this document or the legislative standards. So Something that I just wanted to flag was whether it might be possible to have an inclusion somewhere in here that provides an explicit protection or some form of recognition that if we have a positive duty in here to essentially require staff or elected members to bring a report or bring a complaint about conduct, that there be some form of protection or notification in there to provide a layer of protection for staff who might do that, who might otherwise feel that they can't, or that they are concerned about repercussions or something like that. I just think if we're going to put essentially a positive duty to say that we're encouraging people not to walk past behaviours, that it would be really also quite powerful then to have some provision in here somewhere that says, if there is a repercussion because you have brought a conduct complaint, then that will be treated as a particularly egregious breach of the policy, and that there can be something that flows from that. I feel like I finally found a full sentence in there somewhere.
In terms of any complaint processes, there are protections within the legislative framework in any case. I guess if you're looking for some sort of additional wording, I'd seek as to what you're actually after there. But if there is a complaint process, the process deals with arm's length confidential processes until things are determined. There are protections for staff under the work health safety legislations as well as under the requirements under 675G, I think it is, as well as the protections that elected members shouldn't be approaching staff unless they're authorised. So I'm not sure that there's any other protections that we could particularly place.
What I was thinking about is the idea around repeated misbehaviour being something that's referred through to the behavioural standards panel, and whether we felt that it might be appropriate to include a mechanism in there that's a trigger. It may not be. I'd also just like to note that I'm just somehow unable to pull up every very detailed note that I wrote about this last night, so I'm going off the top of my head. But it's just something that I think that whenever we have a positive duty, that it's nice to have a specific protective mechanism in place at the same time. But it also sounds like you are satisfied that those levers are already in place that can be pulled if necessary.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Growich. No, there's definitely protections for all parties in any particular complaint process. A complaint is only a complaint until it's actually gone through a process. So there's protections for all parties with that within the process and within the legislative framework, including the behavioural standards that are legislative set. So if the behavioural standards panel is invoked, then they have processes to work through as well. I'm not sure you could, again, you'd be adding to any procedural or policy-based benefit than what doesn't already exist.
2.5.8, if I read it correctly, relates only to the elected members, so I think it's kind of a moot point anyway.
Through you, Mr. N. Anybody could lay a complaint under the policy.
No, 2.5, this is to the complaint, the ministerial behaviour standards. Council has agreed and adopted the following behavioural expectations of elected members. That's 2.5, and then 2.5.8 then talks within that context. So the positive duty is applied to the elected members within that particular clause, not the staff. I'm not saying it doesn't apply elsewhere, but I'm just saying if the concern was about positive duty, then it's only being directed in this instance towards us, not to the staff.
Any further questions for clarification? Councillor De Vries. Moved Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Thompson. All those in favour? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yes. Do you wish to speak to it? No. Okay. Councillor Thompson. No. All those in favour? Those against? Thank you. The motion is carried. Item 7.1.2 is the review of the confidential orders for the CEO's performance review and committee. You would like to
Declare the annual conflict of interest as it relates to my employment conditions and review mechanisms.
Any questions that any member may have? This is a formality that we have to go through. Moved to Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Barrett. Either one wish to speak to it? Put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Item 7.2.1 is the variation of delegation register, update to the recent legislation on page 70. Any questions? Moved Councillor De Vries and seconded Councillor Troop. Either one wish to speak? All those in favour? Carried. 7.2.2 is the monthly finance report as at the 31st of March 2024. Any questions for clarification? Yes,
Mr Mayor,
Councillor Schilling.
I don't know if everybody is aware, but I just wanted to acknowledge our CEO's extra work that he's doing in regards to the finances at the moment. I just think, hey? Yeah, but you're doing two jobs at the moment, and I just wanted to acknowledge that there is a considerable amount of extra work that the CEO is doing in this department at the moment. Thank you.
Well spoken, Councillor Schilling. There's a recommendation that the monthly report be received. Councillor Schilling. Councillor De Vries. Either one wish to speak? All those in favour? Carried. 7.3.1 is the Kalimna Road request for the upgrade to the level of service. Any questions you may have of the officers at all? Councillor Priest.
Yeah, I just want to make it quite clear that this doesn't give kudos to the drivers, the truck drivers that start driving down the other end of Kalimna Road on the Rupta, that they don't think this is going to happen.
They would be in breach of the law if they did. Yeah.
I just want to make sure because, yeah.
Yeah.
It's already happened where drivers were driving because I said they had permission from council. So I just want to make sure that this is not going to be...
Drivers are saying they've had permission from council?
Yeah.
How are you aware of this?
By people on Kalimna Road have told me that they've stopped the trucks, semi-trailers, and said... And they said, oh, I've got a letter from the council saying we can.
Well, it all depends on the configuration of the vehicle. Some of them can.
These are quarry trucks.
It's quarry trucks.
This was last year, by the way.
Yeah, general access vehicles can drive anywhere on our road network. Yeah, anyway, we're debating that one now. Councillor De Vries.
I move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Moved Councillor De Vries. Seconded Councillor Thompson. Either one wish to speak?
Only that if anybody is in breach of the Act and is driving heavy freight vehicles on anything other than the heavy freight route, my recommendation is take their number, send the photo to Ben. I've done that in the past, and they'll get into a significant amount of trouble.
That's the best way to deal with it. Councillor Thompson. Any other further comment? All those in favour? Carried. Page 88, 7.3.2 is a request to install a memorial on the council land at Jutland Water Reserve. Any questions? Councillor Priest.
I'll move the motion.
Thank you. Move Councillor Priest. Seconded Councillor Barrett. Wish to speak to it?
No, it says it all.
Councillor Barrett. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried. 7.4.1 is the appointment of an independent chairperson to the board of the Gawler River Flood Management Authority, with a recommendation there that I'm not even going to try to pronounce for obvious reasons. Councillor Priest.
So I'll move the motion.
Moved Councillor Priest. Seconded Councillor Troop. Wish to speak?
I just think that at this stage it looks like it's a very good appointment. He's very well qualified and versed, so yeah, and our chair finishes up in June. So yeah, we wish the former chair all the best in his retirement. And I hope that Mr Mayor will give him a phone call, and the CEO. Well, you can attend the lunching if you want.
Any further comments? All those in favour? Carried. We now move to urgent other business, and that is a leave of absence for Councillor Priest. We've got the May 2024. Yep. No, the door has to stay open. Anyway, we won't. Move Councillor Breeze, second to Councillor Troop. All those in favour? Carried. Councillors, that concludes our meeting for April. Our next scheduled meeting is the 21st of May 2024. Thank you for your attendance.